Hey, so hi there. So this is the final project of the trimester. In this project, you have to make a Hangman game, and this sort of ties together everything that we've covered this year in Java. And as I said, wrote in the email announcement, if you want to, you can do this project in Scratch, and I will make a video for those of you, to help those of you who are going to do the project in Scratch. But first I'm going to do this one on doing it in Java. And this is a fairly complicated problem. So I'm going to give you a template that has a bunch of the solution, not the entire solution. You have to sort of finish the template. If you want to start from scratch, please do, right? It's a fun challenge to work this out. But I thought for most of you it might be too much of a challenge. So, so I'm giving you the template. And please help each other with this. Again, please ask me questions if you have questions, or other adults who are involved in the course at Spence. But this is, this is a fairly significant program given the level that you guys are at. So at the end of completing the program, you're going to want something that will work roughly like what's here on the screen. So here's our gallows, and here's the word, or the representation of the word. So we know that it has 9 letters. And then we tell the user, what letter do you guess? Type the whole word to guess the word. You have 6 guesses left, right? So enter the guess. So I could enter here like a vowel, or I could guess the entire word. So I could enter a 9-letter word. Let's see, Spelling, right? I can do that. And oh, that's curious. See, that's a bug. Interesting. It's funny how sometimes you don't error trap for things. Because when I was writing the code, I just assumed that the person would have a lot of the word already guessed when they typed in their word. Anyway, I can fix that. But let's see. Now I'll type a letter. So I happen to know what this word is because I wrote the program, but I'll just type in A. And it tells me good guess. Press the return key to continue. So, okay. So I still have 6 guesses left. Every time I make an incorrect guess, I lose one of those guesses. So I'll guess T for no particular reason. And tells me bad guess, press the return key to continue. And, oh my goodness, right? Our hung person is starting to appear here, right? The head first. And I only have 5 guesses left. So I'll just quickly go through and make bad guesses. Oh, there's the torso, very skinny person. T again, bad guess. Oh, there's the right arm. T again, the left arm. T again. Oops. The left leg, and one last time, T, and yep, the person has hung, and sorry, but you lost. The word was peninsula. So that's what your code will do when you get it working. And if you wanted to, you could add a loop around this that would allow the person to, play again, kind of like we did with palindrome. But that's the essence of the code, or what the code will produce. Okay, so let's review, or let's go over the data structures that you need here. So we're going to have an array of words, very similar to what we had in the last program, with the movies, except in this case they'll just be short words. They do not all have to be the same length, but words that would be good for Hangman. And from that array of words, what we'll do is we'll randomly choose one, and I'll show you how to do this, and we'll store that randomly chosen word in a string, right? So in this case, we have a string that contains the word beach. And we know from past work how to use the char@at method of the string class to isolate or select the letters of a word one at a time. So we can actually check each letter of whatever word it is, right? Now, we're also going to need a Boolean array so that when we've found a word, so a letter, when we found a letter, we can mark that, change the matching array position in the Boolean array to be true so that we know that we've found that letter. This turns out to be necessary because of the way that we print the letters that have already been found, because we start at the beginning, and if the letter has been already found, we use this array to tell us that, right? So if this is true, then we know that letter's already been guessed, so we print that letter. And if it's false, the letter has not yet been guessed, and so we don't print it. All right? This is one of the pieces of code that I'm going to give you, and I will go over it extensively in a few minutes. Okay? But so we have a Boolean array. We have a string that contains a word that's pulled from the array of words, and then we have a string containing the user's guess, which can be a letter or a word. Right? And we just saw a moment ago how I have a bug here which I need to fix. But the idea is that the user could type in, say, a single letter, and then again using char@, we can pull off the single letter at the 0 position, because that's where it would be, and then we can go through comparing using the string function excuse me, using the string function .equals to compare each of the letters in the word that's being guessed with the character that's at the start of the user's guess, right? And we can also, because this is a string, this whole thing is a string, if the user's typed in more than one letter, we can assume that they're making a guess for the word. And in that case, we can check to see if this whole word is equal to the input string. Okay? So, those are the major, I'm not showing here the array of words, but that's pretty straightforward. But this is essentially the nature of the problem, right? And we have to keep track of things like how many guesses the user has had, right? And each time that they incorrectly guess, we have to add one of the pieces of the hung person, right? And since there's 6 pieces, the head, the 2 arms, the torso, and the legs, if we keeping track of the number of guesses, if they hit 6, then we have an if statement that will say, sorry, but you lost, and then tell the user what the word was. Okay? So that's an overview, and now we'll look at the code a little bit. Okay? So first, note that Hangman will use the GetData class that we've used previously to allow the user to type in information at the keyboard. Right? Same GetData class that allows us to get a string from the keyboard. And you'll have this in the template that I send you. Okay, so this is our code. right? And it looks long, but a lot of it, as you'll see, all of this is very repetitive. These are the different stages of the hung person. They're just print statements, right? We'll go through that. And this is just a bunch of if statements that call those, right? Pretty straightforward. So a big chunk of it, at least half of it, is very straightforward code, right? And then this part up here is just our fields, and then I've put a bunch of comments here to help you. So things we need for the Hangman game. A way to get guesses from the user. Well, we have that, right? We've done that. A list of words from which to select the word to be guessed. We've done that. We did that in the last program with the movies. A way to know which letters of the word have been guessed. Well, I just explained that a minute ago using that Boolean array that we flip the positions from false to true when we know that that matching letter has been correctly guessed. Okay? A way to randomly select a word from the list of words. We haven't done that, but I'll explain that in just a second. And various loops to support the gameplay. And we've done loops. Okay? So, we're going to import java.util.random, which is a class, like the string class, that has a lot of methods. And what some of those methods allow us to get random numbers from the computer. These are actually pseudo-random numbers, but we don't need to worry about that issue right now. Okay. So within the constructor, I declare a variable of type random called R. I declare a variable of type getData. This is our class for getting user input from the keyboard called get. I declare a string of words, right? Just on 5 words here. You can do as many as you want. I think the movie had 100. We had 100 movies. A word, a string called word, which will hold the chosen word, whichever word we pull out of this list. A Boolean variable called finished, which is false, which is going to control our main loop, right? We're going to keep looping as long as finished is false. And when it's true, the loop will end. Bad guess count. These are the number of guesses, and every time the person guesses, and these are the number of bad guesses, right? So every time the person doesn't get a letter, bad guess count goes up by 1. This is that array of Boolean values that I was just talking about called found letters. And this is a string variable for the user's entry. It's whatever string is entered by the user with the call to get the get objects aWord method, right, which returns whatever word the user typed in. Okay, so those are your fields. And our constructor is simply makes a new random object, makes a new getData object, and calls play a game, which is our main loop. So let's look at that. So I'm going to give this to you, right, because I think one of the problems is just defining, when you have a program of this sort of level of complexity, one of the big problems students have is just sort of breaking it down well. So what I've done here is tried to break it down into pieces that are manageable. So let's just go through this quickly. First, we're going to choose a word from the list of words. So we say word, which is just a string variable, equals words, which is the array of strings. And then we choose one of them. And that's what we use the random object, which has a method called nextInt. And that takes in as a parameter words.length, which is the length of the number of words that are stored in words, right? So, and it actually doesn't, nextInt, whatever value is here is exclusive on the high end. So if I did 10 here, r.nextInt would generate numbers between 0 and 9. Right? And so that will pull out one of the words randomly chosen. Found letters. This is the Boolean array, new Boolean, like word.length. Here we're getting the, we're making the new array of Booleans equal to exactly however long the word is that we've pulled out just above, right? So if the word is 16 letters, then found letters will have 16 positions, 0 through 15, right? So here's our main loop. Now, almost every game type program has a main loop, right? Because you do stuff over and over again until the game is finished. So, while not finished, we're going to call a method showGallows, which prints the gallows and person, right? We're going to showWord, which prints the dashes that represents the word, and if the user has guessed the letter already, we'll instead, in place of the dash, it will print the word, the letter, and I'm going to go over this because I'm going to give you this. GetGuess, which will simply get the guess of the user and store it in one of the fields that I defined above. CheckGuess is a bunch of if statements, and you're going to have to write this. A little tricky, but I think you can handle it. That will check to see whether the user's guess is in the word or the word itself, right? If bad guess count equals 6, notice the equals, means they didn't get it. System out print this. What this does is clears the screen and then show the gallows so that you see the completely hung person. System out println sorry, but you lost. And then system out println the word was whatever. And finished equals true. And when finished equals true, when it comes back here, that means not, right? It just flips whatever this value is. So as long as that value is false, not false is true, but when finished becomes equal to true, not true is false. So that while loop ends, and this method ends, and the game ends. Okay? Cool. Okay, so some of you may be wondering why up in the fields, when I made entry word, declared entry word, I made it equal to a space, right? Well, let's look at the showWord method. So entry word starts out here as a space, and so ch is equal to a space because the space is at the 0 position in the string, right? And we just want the first time we call this for ch to be some character that's not in the word, so that we don't we just want to print all of the dashes that represent where the letter should be. Okay. We set a Boolean good guess equal to false because we're going to assume that their guess is bad, but it may not be. Some of this is here because we use showWord from a number of places in the program. This code has to be run every time after the user's made a guess, and so that can occur from multiple places. So let's see what happens here. So we have just a loop that goes through all the letters of the word, right? And it says, the first thing that says, if found letters LC equals true. What's this about, right? This is that Boolean array, right? Because if we've already guessed a letter in the word, which is the user doesn't know, right? We want to print that every time we print the word or the parts of the word. And so if that's true, that means that letter was already guessed. So then we're going to go out and print the word, the character at the LC position in the word. So if they've already guessed the third letter, which would be at the 2 position in the array, when LC gets to 2, it's going to print that word. Okay. Else, if the word.char@, equals ch, right? So let's say the word was beach and the user has typed A. So when LC gets up to 2, 0 and 2, that the character at that position is A. The user typed in A, so they're the same. So then we would print out that character, the A, and we would alter the array of Booleans. We would take the LC position, which is again 2, 0 and 2, that array, and we'd flip it to true, so that the next time we print out the parts of this word, it will print the A because that Boolean array position has been set to true. Okay? And we also know that this was a good guess. They did find a letter, so we say good guess equals true. Else, if neither of these cases, if they haven't already found the word and this was not a good guess, we just print out the dash or the underscore. And they still have to do that. And then we return good guess, right, which is either true or false. Now, when we call show word from here, the Boolean gets returned, but Java just ignores it. If we don't do anything with it, Java just says, okay, whatever. But there's other places where we will want to know whether it was a good guess or not. But the very first time when we print it, we don't really care about that, right? We just want to print out all the dashes of the word. So, yeah, so that's a lot of this program. Okay, now let's go down and look at these guys. So these are a bunch of methods, each of which have 5 print statements. And I'm going to give you this one. I'll give you the first 2, and then you have to do the rest. It's pretty straightforward, right? You know, I don't know. Should I give them to you? Maybe I'll give them to you because it's not really any challenge to make them. It's just tedious. So I'll give you all of these, right? So there are 7 of these, right? This one, the completed man, is for when the character's hung. Why do you need 2 here for the right leg and the right arm? Or if we're talking about the person, it's their left leg and left arm. It's because the backslash symbol is a special character in Java, and basically it says treat whatever's after it differently. So when you have 2 of them, it says, the first one says, okay, this special character that comes after, just treat it as a backslash, not as a special character. So it's a little odd, but you have to do that. You have to do it on this side because the / is not a special character. Okay, but I've done all that for you. So the first time that that we display the gallows, we want to display this, right? Just the rope and the framework, right? And then when the user has gotten one wrong choice, we display the head, then the head and the torso, and etc. Okay? So I'm going to make a version of this that is missing some of the body of the other methods. We did show world. We didn't do show gallows, but that's just some if statements that, depending upon how many bad guesses, calls the appropriate method that prints the guy. Okay. So you're going to have to do get guess and check guess. Those are your main. You need to do show gallows too, and see if you can put this all together. Okay. So if you have questions, as always, please let me know. If you do want to start from scratch, again, I think that's awesome because you'll learn a lot by doing this. But this is here to help you if you'd like to go that route. And I will make another one of these videos for those of you using Scratch. But the same concepts apply. We'll just go over how to do that in Scratch. Okay, thanks.